This
public hearing
conference
on
will
August
now be
1st,
recorded.
2023 at 5 p.m. in the first floor meeting room of the North Elba Town Hall, 2693 Main Street, Lake Placid, New York, to consider the increased cost of improvements as related to certain water distribution system improvements in the Raybrook Water District, including replacement of the existing 150,000 gallon water storage tank with a new 250,000 gallon reinforced concrete storage tank and replacement of all substandard distribution piping, and together with fire hydrants and reconnection of all existing water services in order to elevate the entire district facilities into compliance with New York State Department of Health standards. The estimated increased cost of the proposed improvements is not to exceed $4,105,513 plus $81,672 in SRF issuance cost, bonding costs. The public is invited to attend and comment on the proposed increased cost of the proposed improvements. It is expected that following the public hearing, the town board of the town will consider authorizing the application to the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation of a request for additional funding not to exceed $2,859,625. An engineer's report describing the project budget and construction costs has been prepared by Ivan Zadral Associates and is available for public inspection during normal business hours at the office of the town clerk, located at the North Elba Town Hall in Lake Placid, New York. Adrian Relier, Deputy Town Clerk, Town of North Elba. Lori C. Dudley, Town Clerk, Town of North Elba. With that being said, and opening the public hearing, is there any comments from the public?
One for me.
Glad we have a half an hour.
Yeah. I think we'll leave this open for a few minutes before I close the public hearing.
Well, I should probably get Evan's report.
That funding, the report.
Yeah.
I've got that, Lori, and it was.
I can send it to Lori.
Okay, thanks. I'm surprised Lori wasn't CC'd on that.
It was today, right, Kathy?
No, it was something that Ivan sent to us.
Yeah, it's from today.
Scott.
You're on there.
Oh, I probably just didn't. My email was coming in slowly today.
Are all the board members or just?
This, right? Can you see that?
Okay, yeah.
Because that's what it was. Right?
Yeah.
I think, wait, you should be on there, Rick.
I mean,
Yeah, you're on there.
I just looked at
It's from 11:45 this morning.
it. Well, that's why it's late in the day.
Yeah.
Derek and I have finished business by then.
Oh, my God. You broke the record the other morning, though. It was 4:38. Yeah.
I probably had my first cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, seeing that there's no input from the public, I'll take a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Rick, second. Emily, any further discussion? None, all in favor? Aye. None opposed, carried.
I was 7.
I couldn't outguess this.
I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna put it on.
And I'm gonna.
This conference will now be recorded.
We have to start all over.
Where was
Take
it?
two. Action.
No,
Just remind me.
Paving is not going to occur with
within the village, but it will, I think, occur within the town. So the pavers will start in Tupper Lake. The Tupper Lake parking lot is included within phase 1 of the trail. So Cabricki is out there. They've leveled it off. They've blocked the parking lot because we had a lot of ATVs and trucks out there tearing it up. So they've kind of sealed that area off. So we're going to pave. It's going to be paved, and then they're going to make their way to Obashan, and then kind of work the 2.7 miles back. And that should be the extent, with the exception of any road crossing where an apron will be paved on either side of the road. That will be the extent of the paving. So I think we're looking at 31 miles of crushed limestone as the surface, about 3 miles of pavement on there, coming all the way to here. Yes, please.
All right, so I know this is more of a DEC question, but I'm sure you know the answer. Why in particular that 2.7 miles paved?
So I think ARDA's preference would be honestly for that to be crushed stone, to be consistent with the rest of the trail. We've kind of shared our concerns with a decision to pave it. The environmental concerns around drainage, around temperature effects that anyone.
Snowmobiles, right?
Snowmobiles. So it's, but I think that there are kind of like tangible concerns related to just the physical space. Anyone who's been on a trail that is not adequately constructed and maintained, that's pavement, it's not an enjoyable experience. It's quite bumpy. Cape Cod Rail Trail is the one that jumps to my mind is just bump, bump, bump. Any of the trails on the Hudson or the Mohawk are like that as well. So you really need to do an exceptional job during the construction if you're going to pave so that you don't get the frost heaves and the roots coming through. Users, it presents a surface that is going to be much warmer. So snow is going to not be packed on there as early, and it's going to melt sooner. So you've reduced the usable snowmobile season for a significant chunk of the trail. It's the access way for the Lake Placid Club, and it really kind of cuts the section of North Elba off from the rest of the trail. So we have concerns about that. We've partnered with the Rails Trail Conservancy, and actually we're out on the trail with folks from the DEC a few weeks ago, just kind of sharing some of the concerns that we have. If it is paved, what will happen there? So I think it's, we've kind of taken a position, we've raised it as a concern. We would prefer to see it be consistent with the rest of the trail for a number of reasons, but I think the cat's out of the bag, the barn doors are open, whatever metaphor you want to use, that our sense is that there is no kind of reversing course in terms of paving that segment.
But is it about that they want like a harder area for accessibility? Like what's the reasoning?
So,
and if you want me to ask DEC, I can.
No, I think that we have asked, and I think that I think you get 3 different evolving answers sometimes as to what it is, and I don't say that to disparage the DEC. I think that there were probably a few factors that contributed to the decision. The entire trail will be accessible on a wheelchair.
Because it's so hard packed.
Because it's hard packed, the grade, 2%. So it is accessible. If you haven't walked it, but if you've kind of peeked, I'm not gonna say, if you've peeked at sections of the trail and you've seen that crushed stone surface, they've actually tested it with wheelchairs and other mobility devices to see how it holds up in that moment, but also the wear and tear of it with that. So, and it's in total usage, no issues. So we're really excited that this is, the entirety of it will be accessible. I think that there are sections of the community that prefer, at least initially, a paved trail, but I think that is, if I was to speculate, probably a lack of awareness of the benefit of the crushed stone surface and how versatile that is and how easy it is to maintain in comparison to asphalt. So I think it's an education, and we've really shared a lot of great information with the DEC, and they've been really receptive to that. But we're starting to kind of come up with plans now. If this is going to happen, we need to have really robust monitoring system in place to be able to look at the number of users that are on the trail, the temperature of the trail to be able to see how it is impacting the environment, all sorts of things.
So the snow machines are just gonna leave the pavement and use the snow that's on the edge. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and then the trickle down effect of what that does. So, heard all sorts of, ideas as to how to combat that, I don't know that any of them are feasible. The idea of moving, as opposed to dumping snow in a snowfield, moving it
Right,
to, I don't think that's,
work in
I
progress, I
don't
get
think,
it.
yes. So we're working, but I think that I think that the plan is to be as prepared as is possible for the opening of the trail this fall. The first 9.8 or so miles, 9.7 miles of the trail between where the trail starts on Station Street and connecting to Auchan again. So that we're still on track for that to be open this fall. I think the majority of construction that extends out toward Floodwood will be done actually this year, but I think that trail will not open officially until next year. And then a similar timeline for the Floodwood to Turbo Lake section. So I think there's a lot of exciting work to be done. We're still in discussions as to what can be done with the parking lot on this end of the trail. I think that's in flux. I think we're still, discussions with the village and with the DEC and with the Open Space Institute as to how that can be best done. I think it's a conversation in progress. But, I have some concerns that the trail will open this fall and there's not a place for individuals to park. And I know that local community members that are accessing the trail might know the right place to park or might be able to just bike or walk from their house to access the trail. But I know that if we in New York State are advertising this as a destination, an asset to the state, I have some concerns as to where the parking is going to occur. So I'm really hopeful that we can start to get some progress.
So then you are involved in the engineering?
Of the parking lot?
Yeah,
So I think that is primarily a discussion between, at this point, Open Space Institute and the village
yeah.
to see if they can take that on. I know Brad Hathaway has been active in those negotiations for the village to see if that's something that could be taken on. So I'm hopeful just because I want to see it. I want to see it done right, but I want to see it done soon.
How about engineering of one particular trestle? I'm amazed at the amount of work that was done. And I'm asking myself why. Everything looked
Good
sound.
report. Yeah.
And then cut everything off down low,
Yeah.
pinned and poured new concrete. Amazing amount of money put it into a 40-foot crossing.
Yeah. So I think that there's, I can't recall what Keith Carroll at the DEC said was wrong with that one, but I know that they looked and there were some structural concerns to that one.
Apparently it just wasn't evident.
Yeah, because I think from the surface, all of them looked used and worn as we would expect, but I think that particular one, there were definite structural concerns that caused them to have to go back and really do a full reconstruction of that one. So, I think we have a photo of that one up online that's getting a lot of attention right now.
I'll bet.
So, from all corners of the community. So, but yeah, we're excited about it. We're hosting. We have an event. I'm still, if anyone is listening and interested, we're hosting an event in September at Brackett River Brewing to help support the Rail Trail Association, the work that we're doing on the rail trail. We are also soon to announce an event that will occur in Saranac Lake. I would love to have something within North Elba and or Lake Placid to kind of launch the opening of the trail this fall. So I think that there's an opportunity there to do that. So, but we're excited about it.
We can make that work.
Yeah.
Give me a little notice.
Okay. Yeah, I think, so our big things are making sure that the infrastructure is there for users to access the trail, that signage, bike racks that Northfield has been most gracious with, bike racks and portable toilets. And then so we're looking at increasing our availability to install signage. And then the other thing was trail counters and trail ambassadors to do kind of, we need to be able to report out how many people are accessing the trail so that the state knows it, so that tourism bureaus know that, and also for the business community, so that there's a connection between people accessing it and the trail. So we want to be able to count, be able to report out, it's a biker, it's a runner, it's a hiker, where they're from, how far they came to get here, or where are they spending money in town. I think the community's really asked a lot of those questions. How will we see use on that trail connect to business in the community? So I think the ambassador program and the purchase and installation of trail counters will help us
It
to
all
do that.
goes toward economic impact.
Yeah, we want to see those dollars here and help inform businesses in the area how they can, how this can work for them, how it can be a net benefit, a value added to the community.
Good.
So if anyone wants to give feedback, Brian W. at AdirondackRailTrail.org or info at, and we just had, this is timely, we just had a nice
For sure.
guest commentary in today's paper about the work that we're doing. So yeah, any questions about the trail or Arda's work that I can answer for you?
When you were talking about the parking lot earlier,
Yes.
you were specifically talking about Station Street
Yes.
Historical Society, that's.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the other parking lots that that exist on the trail, for the most part, are within state land and are going to be
State right-of-ways.
yeah, those right away. So the contractor for that particular site, whether it's Cabricki or anyone else, would be creating that. This is a little bit different because the acquisition of the land was done by a third party. So they're actively looking for who can come in and do that. So.
And looking down the road, we're open now for 2 or 3 years. What is the expected maintenance schedule of that type of road? And if you can explain the role you play and what we as separate towns along the route can be, or what is New York State expecting from us?
Yeah, so it's our rough estimate for maintenance would be about $1,500 per mile. So looking at just over $50,000 per year in total cost of maintenance. And that's whether that's mowing, taking down fallen trees, or any type of, putting down stone replacement. So that's where the majority of it's going to come in terms of maintenance. We are working still with the DEC on the volunteer stewardship agreement where we can coordinate. Most notably, it would be like a adopt a highway program. Sure. where we have kind of cohorts that are responsible for certain sections. But we will have certain groups that will just kind of go through the trail and do that. Mowing's not going to actually need to occur on the 2.5-foot shoulders very often. So once we have the equipment lined up for that, we'll be able to figure out what the best way to do the mowing, because that could be something that's done in a continuous sweep.
Sure.
Just based on availability of equipment. But trash, trees, that will be done kind of in segments and as needed throughout. But the winter season will still primarily be, the volunteer work will be done by the snowmobile groups. They have an existing
Groomers.
Yep,
Yeah.
they have an existing volunteer stewardship agreement. They have a new one with the DC. It had been with the Department of Transportation prior to this. So our work would be in this, springtime to fall to kind of duplicate those efforts, but in kind of managed segments. So I think Arda's work would kind of coordinate with each of the towns, each of the villages, to say how can we do this, because of that idea that if left alone, it kind of a lot of the work doesn't get done unless there is a coordinating entity.
Sure.
And in the unit management plan for the trail, the state kind of calls for there to be some coordination of whether it's emergency services or an umbrella stewardship organization to come in and help with that. So we are seeking to do that. We're seeking to kind of close the gap between the state budget and what the work that's needed on the trail. I think we're in an extremely fortunate position that so much of the money came up front. And so I think that if we can kind of show the value added of ARDA to maintain that, we're going to be in a great place to have this asset in our backyard.
So first responders, Rick, kind of jumps at your realm. If you guys would have to respond, say even to Raybrook or.
Your realm,
Yeah,
learn how to access.
I mean, like, all-terrain vehicles.
Because that's what we use as
Backboards,
the fire department
Yeah,
for those type of things. So where to access, is it closer to access through Raybrook or Lake Placid or
Yeah.
stuff?
And we've been in conversations during that like too, so we kind of have a good idea, depending on where the emergency is, how we're meeting up and who's
Which we
taking
can
it, so
access. Yeah.
Sorry to draw you in.
that's okay.
No, because it's going to be a thing, especially in the winter months when we see more and more
Sure.
people out there. That there will be you're going to have to respond to these situations, and I think that in the winter months, but especially in summer months, given there's a finite number of rangers and responders to these emergencies, we're going to be seeing resources strained. So anything we can do to be I don't say self-sufficient,
Yeah.
but kind of buoy the resources available will help should there be an emergency.
oh, that's good.
You mentioned like the porta potties and you said
Yes.
something about trash, but you specifically mean in the parking lots, not on the trails.
Exactly. Yes. So I think that there's
There's a carry in, carry out message.
exactly
Yeah.
100%. And I think the thought is that if you put the trash can down, you need to have a service come in
Yeah.
that's going to pick it up regularly. Even the existence, honestly, of the portable toilets encourages, if there's not a
So-
trash receptacle there, it's horror stories about what gets left behind in the toilets should there not be something. So it's kind of you're in a position that you want to find the right balance of protecting the delicate ecology versus encouraging practices that are not aligned with leave no trace and carry in and carry out. So I think we want to do that as much as possible, carry in and carry out. It's what we largely have in the high peaks, but I think that within the parking lots at least,
Yeah.
certainly in the major parking lots, there would be receptacles, there would be some type of restroom facility. Eventually there will be a permanent one
At
on
Station.
Station Street, yeah. That's a work in progress. So
Brian, thanks.
you're very welcome.
Yeah, good presentation.
Thank you so much. Be in
I can
touch.
tell you're right in gear.
Yeah, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. I want to be partners with the town.
Good, goes
Thank
both ways.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry and Jen, I know you're here to address from last month, so if now works, come on up. Well, that way you don't have to sit through everything.
Nobody tells if we're getting raising our water rate. Can I just sit up here?
I'll be quick. I came again to ask for your commitment that you will not allow the cell phone tower in Raybrook, the Verizon tower down on that hill.
What I've done since you came a month ago, I spent about an hour looking for anything concrete in the research, but there are a number of articles that do address recognized distances from a cell tower. I have continued, I've only had one short conversation with Verizon since you were here last. I also went to our building office and I did GPS overlays for distance so I can know what they are. And certainly to no surprise to you guys, if I go from the top of the hill where our wells are to like Dana's former house and then draw to like the middle of your big field, those are only 700 feet and 900 feet. So yes, they are under a recommended distance. I don't have adequate information from Verizon to present this board with a total proposal versus your concerns. But I do, and I don't want to drag my feet on this either, but I want to have both a financial proposal. I want to have adequate research on articles that are on the web, and so they can make a good decision on yes or no. I don't think any of us will want any health concerns for anyone, that's for sure. So we do recognize that 1,320 feet seems to be the recognized amount where these RF waves aren't recommended for frequent exposure to. So we're close, Larry, and I know you said you're under the gun for building as well. So I guess at the very least, I'm comfortable saying I will put things in front of this board prior to our next board meeting if I can, but the latest would be next, where we'll make a decision for you.
Should I be doing this in a more of a formal manner, or the way that I come in? Is that a good way to do it, or is it something that you get on?
We recognize the importance of this. I'm not looking for anything in a legal stature or whatever. This is as much an ethical and moral situation as it is anything. So we're not going to base a whole lot of our decision on $12,000 a year.
No, I meant, am I all right the way I'm appearing, or should I go to the more formal way of getting onto agendas, what I meant?
Oh, no, that's all right. We knew why you were here. And
This is as formal as it gets.
yeah, listen,
That's probably about the most formal.
Sending an email.
I really don't have a formal bone in my body, so.
That's fine.
Every-
As long as I'm
everything's-
doing it okay. as
Yeah,
long as
everything's
the
working.
board is-
Everything's working fine.
Now, I haven't been real intimate with this, but are they proposing attaching that tower to anything off the ground, or just putting a tower in at the pumps,
They propose to pour a cement base,
right?
but much of my recommendation to you guys will be centered around even just the logical access in and out. Because,
To protect the water.
Oh, sure.
you know, I don't want this base right close to these wells as well. And a separate road very well may not even work. Brad wants to have enough room in the fencing around these production wells so that trucks can get up there and work on it, pull the pumps or whatever has to be done. Logistically, there's a good chance, you know, have you been to the site?
I have not.
It's a steep little esker.
Yeah.
And now the Department of Health didn't have a problem with it there, but we may access wise. And Brad just said, let me get this next production well and outline where this fence has to go and we can look at it. But I think we'll be closer to a decision.
Did Verizon give you any schematics of why there? Is there like a dead zone?
Well, there's a couple different things going on, and a lot of it has to do with our moving forward. I guess it's certainly no secret that as we move forward to make improvements to get water to the prisons, I don't know what's going on at the prisons. I'm awaiting a meeting with Billy Jones to find out. But long story short, the prisons have asked Verizon to take their tower off the prison's water tanks. That's being eliminated. So there is an avenue, probably up and down Route 86, that they're losing. Hence, I mean, they were talking to Perrier family for months.
Well,
And
what
then-
they wanted to do is, until I started studying,
Sure.
we were the chosen ones, you know, that's what they told me. But
I
then
think you did elevation too.
I started reading, it's just not worth the health risk, you know, so. That's why we.
And, you know, none of us are scientists, so I did my due diligence in finding everything that's out there. And like I say, there's a lot of references to concerns, just nobody's raising their hand and giving any, and of course, listen, if you take lobby efforts and the whole bit to protect, telecommunications, you understand why there aren't articles out there confirming this stuff without big proof. But it's well known that RF, have I got the term right? RF waves actually
Microwaves.
overheat DNA in your cells. So I'd love to give you a decision right now. I have to put everything I can in front of them.
Absolutely.
I mean, has your schedule been affected at all yet? You
Not
thought
yet. I thought
within a couple
I
of
thought
months?
we'd be over this by now, but
Okay,
it,
so,
yes, it grinds fine.
so is it fair saying to you guys, September we'll have an answer?
Yes,
Okay,
that's fair.
I think reiterating that anyone's health will not be put before the finances.
right.
By any
I
means.
appreciate that. Well, and these micro, I mean, there's power, it's like I said before. Hi, Dick.
Nobody acknowledged it.
There's power that goes into these cell tower antennas.
Sure.
And there's power that comes out, and it's microwaves, and it goes through trees, it goes through cars, it goes through people.
Right.
And, today, people don't have a place, especially young people, if you don't already have a place to live, it's hard to get a place to live. And now we want to put up 3 houses, we want to stay in the area.
Yep.
And of course, Pat and Jen want to stay in the area, But gosh, I can't bring myself to building by where there's going to be a cell phone. I know it may sound stubborn, but it's not.
Well,
I
no,
know.
not our
If
families
it
that
wasn't-
water
if it
security
wasn't for
affects
the
so many
health-
people.
Yeah,
Concerns, I sure would have taken that $10,000 a year rather than see
Sure.
anybody else take it. I mean, it's just good business, but it's just sometimes money's not the important thing.
I hear you.
Help this.
No,
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks so much.
now the formality part, if you want to call me before the September meeting and say, don't forget to put me on the agenda, I will.
No, that was just, I didn't want to just, show up and not be expecting to hear you say, you know what, Perrier? You really need to get on the agenda. I
Yeah.
just didn't want to step on any toes.
It's all good.
Or don't call him and watch his face when you walk in.
He sees me, there's no shock there. See you all.
Thanks for coming in.
All right. I think I'm gonna bump the agenda again because Jennifer's here. Let's move to accept this certification.
Wait, before we're talking about conflict of interest, I'm recusing myself because I am a board member of HAPIC. So I'm just gonna set up
All right,
2 minutes there.
all right.
90 seconds.
You're really recusing yourself. I'm leaving.
Okay, so what this item is, Chelsea, as you know, is a town employee, and we sponsor and we apply for CDBG grants, with HAPIC being the overseer of those grants. And to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest, we had to fill out a form that basically said we, as a town board, had no influence in Chelsea applying and being awarded a CDBG grant. And certainly, Jennifer, if I say anything out of line, jump right in and correct me. But it's a pretty straightforward thing. I'd like to read the statement from our attorney that clarifies this conflict of interest affidavit that has to be filed. This is put to Mr. Filion, Program Director for the Community Development from New York State Homes and Community Renewal. He's in the Office of Community Renewal in Albany. Dear Mr. Filion, we are legal counsel to the town of North Elba, which is a recipient of the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program. We understand that a grant applicant named Chelsea Giesler has been selected by the subrecipient, Housing Assistance Program of Essex County, HAPA, and that it is the subrecipient that will administer the grant. However, as Ms. Giesler is employed by the town of North Elba, we understand that the town is making an application for waiver of conflict of interest pursuant to 24 CFR 570.489. This letter is offered as part of that submission. We have been advised that while employed by the town, Ms. Giesler received no preferential treatment from the town or any of its officers or employees as a grant applicant, and that she has had no inside knowledge of the grant process or any other aspect of grant application and/or administration. Not only does the town not administer this grant, but the town is not involved in selection of applicants, such as Ms. Giesler. Based upon the foregoing, and provided that a waiver is granted, the interest for which a waiver exception is sought would not violate state or federal law. Thank you. Very truly yours, Miller, Manick, Shackner, and Hafner, LLC. Signed by Leah Everhart, their secretary.
Please keep reading.
No. Jennifer, I think that's all that I'm obligated to present. Anything else from your side?
Nothing else from my side, no.
Thank you very much for attending, Jennifer.
Well, thank you.
With that being said, I'll take a motion to accept this waiver of conflict of interest.
So moved.
Moved by Jason, seconded by Rick. No further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. Don't feel like you got to hang around.
Thank you so much. Have a nice night.
Okay, now we've got a fun one to do here. We need to approve a wedding officiant status to Roby Politi. It's really just a formality. He has the right to do this, being former supervisor and mayor as it is, and he refuses to go through the other process. Anyway, this is your terms. For the record, we are going to acknowledge Roby's,
Fishing for the day.
an officiant for the day, August 5th, at the Red Barn on Riverside Drive. It's a wedding for Larry Gibbons and Adelaide Ballier. Would that be how you say it?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Roby, go for it.
Officiant of the day, that's the most trophy worthy.
Yeah,
I've done it twice.
is that right?
Yeah, you get certification.
Yeah.
Did you
Anyway,
do the
I
online
should-
version?
No, I did it at the town board, like I did the same thing that
Oh, really?
Roy did, yeah,
Because
because it's easier.
Yeah. Anyway, I should probably take it in the form of a motion to accept. So moved. Second, Jason. Any further discussion?
Good luck.
All in favor? Aye. No one carried. All right. Let's move to accept what's considered a resolution of authority with the Raybrook Water District. Anybody else want to read one of these?
You're doing a fine job.
All right.
You got paid the big bucks.
Whereas the town board of the town of North Elba deems it to be in the best interest of the residents of the Raybrook Water District to replace the existing and deteriorated 150,000 gallon water tank with a new 250,000 gallon water tank, together with necessary distribution lines and hydrants, if so appropriate. And whereas the Raybrook Water District is located wholly within the town of North Elba, and whereas the town received approval on August 27th, 2019 from the State Comptroller's Office pursuant to Town Law Section 202-B, paragraph 5, for the initial expenditure for improvement of facilities for the Raybrook Water District water storage tank in the amount of $2,212,600. And whereas the town of North Elba held a public hearing on August 1st, 2023, for the discussion and approval of increased cost and request for additional funding from the New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for said improvements. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby direct the town's chief financial officer to seek the formal consent of the New York State Comptroller's Office for an increase in the maximum amount to be expended for such improvement of facilities not to exceed $4,105,513 plus $81,672 in SRF issuance costs, which is the bonding cost, pursuant to the application for its improvement of facilities and in accordance with Town Law Section 202-B, paragraph 5. So approved. This, you'll fill that in? All right. Okay. Anyway, I'll take a motion for this resolution of authority. Moved by Rick, second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No one opposed? Carried. Dick, sorry, I'm not even making note of you out there, buddy. I'm watching you raise your hand.
That's okay.
All right. So that's carried. Our next thing to accept is an authorization for increase, which is basically the same thing, but it needs a roll call vote. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of North Elba has authorized the increase in maximum amount to be expended for improvement of facilities for the proposed improvements in the town of North Elba, Raybrook Water District, not to exceed $4,105,513 plus $81,672 in SRF issuance cost. Resolved that the town supervisor, Derek Doty, is authorized to sign the application to the office of the state comptroller requesting consent for said increase in the maximum amount to be expended for such improvement of facilities. The motion is put to a roll call vote, resulted as follows. Derek Doty is aye. Dick Cummins.
Aye.
Jason Leon.
Aye.
Emily Politi.
Aye.
Richard Preston.
Aye.
Motion carries, and Lori, as certified town clerk, will certify the attached resolution. Okay, we're winding things down. Proud of me?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's a hard sell.
Proof is in it.
Yes, yet to be seen, Derek. Keep going. Don't stop now.
We have some budget adjustments to look at. You all received those today. Basically, they boil down to wage adjustments that were made for our seasonal skilled workers. That took place on the 14th of July. We need to officially recognize those tonight. And there is, let's see, not just skilled seasonal, but Deidre Kellerman, a lifeguard, non-competitive. Do you want to talk to that one, Kathy?
So, the personnel actions, all of the ones they're listed as what, $20 an hour, that's what you all discussed last month. I'm just putting it in a form that makes it official, it gets put in the minutes.
All right.
Deidre's a lifeguard that was hired originally back in June of 2018. So she's been with us for several years, and she was, for whatever reason, missed when we did the lifeguard appointments in prior months. So this is just basically catch up.
Just catches her up.
Yeah. So she, the 1925 is what she would have been appointed at the beginning of the season. I just missed her in the shuffle. So I apologize for that, but that's what this is.
No, that's fine. Okay, so I'll take a motion to accept these.
Are you doing personnel actions and budget?
We can. Do you want to do budget amendments and personnel and do them all in one?
The budget amendments, Derek had purchased some candy for the 4th of July parade that we didn't budget for. So that's the first line. And then right after that is the cleanup for the Black Fly Control, their last pay period of their season, put them over budget. As you all know, black flies were really bad this year, so they were out doing it a little bit more than they normally do, I guess. But none of that affects the fund balance at all. It's all within their total budget. And then in the highway fund, we have the community beautification seasonal employees that work with Sharice to do the plantings on Main Street mostly, the monthly costs for gas, monthly upkeep for buying stuff at Clausen's for the plantings and the greenhouse upkeep, and then the electric, and all of that is covered by the revenue that they've been billed to the Main Street services, all the other customers that are not town venues.
Right.
And then the last piece is our first payment to C&E fencing for the fencing that was approved under the LEAF grant. And then when we get the final bill for that, I understand that the rest of it's going to be paid for through ARPA funds.
Right.
So there's no effective fund balance on any of these this month.
And so do we have the LEAF money?
No, it's a reimbursement grant. So once that check is cashed and and I guess we have to wait until the fencing is completely installed.
Okay.
And we pay the final bill, then we'll submit back to LEAF for the reimbursement, which was for $48,000. So It'll probably be another couple months before we can do that.
Hey, Dick, have you had any correspondence on the materials from C&E?
I haven't. I was going to check when I get home in a couple days. But
Okay.
one of my questions is, in talking with Haley, I thought we were going to contact Roost and get payment for that $41,000 because we do have an invoice for it.
Yeah.
I thought that had been done.
So it was my understanding that it was a reimbursement from the LEAF grant. So
It is, but we paid that $41,000. Obviously you sent that. That's why I asked you if you sent a check. I'll check with Haley because I thought we were going. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I apologize because maybe I misunderstood. I just figured we'd wait until we reach the $48,000 mark and then just submit it one time.
No, I wanted to get the $41,000 because we do have an invoice from them.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can submit for that.
Yeah, or have Haley offer to do that, to
Okay.
contact Kristen and send us a check for that 41.
Okay, I just need to get a copy of the canceled check from the bank.
Okay, and Haley does it, and while you and Haley both and I have copies of that invoice, so we should be okay.
Oh yeah, I probably can get it taken care of and sent over to her tomorrow when I'm in the office.
Cool, thank you.
Good deal.
What is, sorry, but
No,
are we on personnel?
we're on budget
We're on
amendments.
both.
Okay.
Right on the last item at the
Right.
bottom.
Yep.
Which maybe you and Dick can follow up on the Baylor situation.
Okay.
Apparently, we talked about this a while ago, and I'm not sure if, Shannon has followed through with more quotes on the Baylor situation.
Okay, we'll work on it. Rick and I will work on that. I thought that was in the process.
Yeah,
I talked to her about 2 weeks ago and she said the quotes are really high.
like $18,000.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was still looking around, but I'm going to be down there tomorrow. I'll ask her.
And
Okay.
and listen, that'll be an item we're gonna wait until budget season anyway,
Right.
so it's not like
Right.
it's an emergency. So with that being said, I'll take a motion to accept both budget amendments and personnel adjustments.
Can I make one comment on the personnel agenda?
Sure.
Does this piece of paper that we received, does that go in the minutes?
Yes.
Can we modify the reasoning for the increase?
Just
Oh,
where it
you
says
mean-
position.
It says position cost of living adjustments. It's actually not a cost of living adjustment, is
No.
it, Kathy?
I'm just going based on what Derek's note said, so.
I think it's just an adjustment.
Just an adjustment. That way we don't.
A position
with-
adjustment.
We really don't have to, under position, really, that's where it would be, where we would just say Craigwood laborers or Craigwood.
That's fine.
Okay.
We don't have
Just so it's not misunderstood as, well, I didn't get a cost of living increase.
Yes.
I'll fix that and send that a new one to Lori.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Perfect.
Sorry for the.
No, that's good.
So moved.
Moved by Jason.
With good times.
You want to second that?
Sure.
All right, second by Emily. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed? Carried. We need to approve the audits. I don't know if everybody signed them yet.
Everybody has.
Okay.
Dick obviously didn't. You want me to sign for you, Dick?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
I'll write down that you are
I'm
on
a- That's right.
approve the go-to meeting.
Can I have a motion to accept the audits? Rick, second by Jason. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed? Carried. Let's go to committee reports. Who wants to go first with anything? Oh.
She's got it on her hand.
Before she gets sweaty.
Here, you want a notebook?
When I was upstairs and Britt reminded me that I didn't have a notebook. So the attorney has gotten back to us on the cloud permit contract. So this is the whole software system that the building department wants to upgrade to. And meaning our attorneys. And so our attorneys had some notes they sent to cloud permits attorneys, and they have agreed to make all this changes except for one. And I honestly don't, it's such legalese. I don't really know what the change they don't want to make is. But I think we should just move forward with the contract because the attorneys didn't raise any red flags, and cloud permit has been respectful of 9 out of the 10
Exactly.
10 changes.
Nice.
So I think it's time to move forward with,
Well, we need some training anyway.
yeah,
Yeah,
which will eventually be a budget adjustment because it's expensive, but
so that's in the form of a motion to accept
Yeah.
and move forward.
in the form of a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed? Carried. What else you got?
That's all, I think that's all I have.
All
You got a
right.
lot of writing there.
No, it just said software cloud permit.
Jason or Rick, anything?
I know Dick asked me to present the PO issue. Derek and Kathy met, and Kathy has spoken with Ken, and that's all straightened out.
It is. Okay, good. No, as long as we got a mutual system in place, that's good for me.
Good deal.
I do have a question that's sort of under committee. It's not committee that I'm a part of, but I don't think it's too early, but should we be looking into toboggan chute lighting?
Yeah, I think that is a great,
I guess Kimball, I was talking to, I think it was Willis, and Kimball had spec'd out lights,
yes.
so.
And we really dragged our feet and never moved it. I guess part of that discussion will be, certainly Kimball would never say no to us, but I think we should also be prepared to get somebody to help with us if they're busy.
If they're busy, sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They always help us. If they have the time, they'll do it. If not, I think we should be prepared to just get it done. But it means ordering, I take it.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
And I guess getting approved by what committee, Emily, is that the appearance?
Lighting?
Committee?
Appearance committee, yeah, I think they would appreciate.
I think the lighting was somewhat like down at the train station, I guess, similar to
with a down,
with a downward, but they're smaller.
yeah.
But-
Tell me how we should move forward. Do you want me to call Kimball and get the product and go from there?
Or you can allow one of us that you've got enough on your plate.
Well, either way,
Okay.
I'll call Kimball.
Did we decide on the type of lights that, because that was so long ago?
It was, so maybe they're not even available any longer. But
And did we want to do additional, like, have controllers to dim them? There was talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like there was a whole presentation about these lights, right? And they're dimmable, they have the shielding.
Right,
and with
yeah.
them.
And it even went further. He had looked up a light for us to cast out that was down lighting too. So anyway,
didn't we purchase those
we bought,
portable?
yeah, we bought two.
Mhm.
Yep.
And they are battery operated?
Yes.
Okay.
And was there any complaint about those as far as
No, I didn't hear. any.
leakage, I guess you'd call
Yeah.
Are they the rechargeable batteries, or are we putting like double Ds in them?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
They'll be
I'll
on fire
follow
soon, let's put it that way.
Tomorrow.
And they're pulled off, they stayed for the season, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy to report Dave Janito has this system set up in the Saranac Lake Townhouse.
Okay,
So our September meeting will be over there.
okay.
And I think it's good timing before we get into budget where we have to be here virtually every day of October.
Mhm. I'll
So,
text you. Remind you.
and you'll have to remind me that too,
And I'll tell her.
September.
So just before we dive into something, the seasonal, the policy, now I'm coming across two different things. There's a whole policy manual. Are we looking for a pay schedule, or are the two of them combined?
Well, the pay schedule, I think, can be taken care of with us either prior or during budget season. That's when we'll start projecting, our personnel costs. I'm not
Didn't we want
sure.
to create tiers, like a position, but then the tiers within the position for the skilled and unskilled, so.
And you'll find that in our policy book.
Yeah.
From years ago, Jack Favreau and Jay Rand actually put together that. And I think it was based on trying to bring highway into the same field of view as town employees. And that had a step scale in it. It might give you a basis
Okay,
for how to start.
okay.
Is that what you handed out at one point?
Yeah, I have seen that before.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And I think Kathy probably can come up with a copy of it pretty quick. Sorry to speak for you, Kath.
I can certainly look and hope it's on my computer.
Yeah, so,
I
well,
think
head over to
it's-
Saranac Lake today.
I think it's printed in one of our policy manuals.
Oh,
But
well,
that
there's two things. The policy manual gives you the method of how to get to a certain score, but the actual dollar amounts scale, there's nothing like that in our policy manual.
Okay,
Yeah, so I think that's, we wanted to do the scales with the titles.
yeah,
So that we know what the starting rate is for that particular
So there's
skill. and unskilled.
consistency.
Yeah, so then if you're getting hired, here it is, and then. we
so
can-
kind of meld the two, the description with the,
Okay.
as long as we're talking about committee reports and stuff, and Jason is here, between the public hearing and our meeting, we brought up, and we'll have to discuss it further, but in October, we spend considerable time on the budget.
Mhm.
But you being in the school system, you're not available till 3:30, so we're trying to find a way to mitigate how much you miss,
Okay.
because we designate 2 hours at a clip
Mhm.
to tackle every department.
Mhm.
But don't want to use all the sessions like at 3:30 to 5:30.
Mhm.
So you may miss some,
Mhm.
and we bring you up to speed
Okay.
just prior to the next one I don't know what the combination will be.
Because I think if there is like some sort of, just like a brief synopsis.
Yeah.
Or if we make sure
You
we're,
can listen to
but
them.
also if we make sure wherever Jason is a liaison, that he is present for those.
For his committees.
For his committees.
Yeah,
Because then it just keep me abreast. of-
yeah. And you're a quick study anyway, so.
Alright.
I guess, well, now we're down to persons present to be heard. Now, I think it boils down to Peter and Liz. So, any concerns or any reactions or?
Well, thanks for inviting me to the first town board meeting of North Elba. I guess my first question was, I wanted to ask Brian, but I didn't. I didn't want to sort of interrupt his flow, but I was wondering if snowshoeing would be available for people to do on the rail.
For sure.
Is that part of it? Yeah.
Oh, there'll be cross-country skiing, snowshoeing.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear.
There's gonna be some snowmobiling, so.
Yeah, but there will be snowmobiling,
Yeah.
so it's shared use.
Yeah, so.
Okay, yeah. And the only other item I note was just on the agenda, was there supposed to be an item 5 or it just was missed or?
Oh, I guess that was an oversight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Other than that, no, thanks for inviting me.
and I think, Peter, were you at the public hearing
I
last week?
was on July 19th,
I thought you
yeah,
looked
and
in
I spoke at that and had my visual aid and I
Yeah.
intend to be there tomorrow again.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, because when we went into that, we did not have any sort of background information as to what this was. And when we talked to our code enforcement, he's like, it's just an idea, so it seems kind of, for me, like out of step to like, hey, I'm present for something that I have no idea of what this is. And if it wasn't for the two members, you and another individual.
Jason, I'm just gonna stop you right there because there's a file upstairs.
But we asked specifically, and they're like, can we, I feel like as board members, we're gonna vote, we should be provided as opposed to having to go seek it out.
Yeah, but I guess we're not at the voting stage yet, but I will say that information all exists in a file upstairs.
Well, I understand we're at the voting stage, but like if we're even to the point of like processing whether this would be reasonable enough that like they're gonna make a recommendation to us and then we get all the information and look at what it is. Because Mike said there's no plans or anything. He said there's nothing.
And that's why I brought Jason, that visual aid with me. That was a picture I actually took from the second floor of our building. We're in building 3, which would be most affected by the applicant's proposal. And so you're right, all they've provided is a conceptual plan. But if you look at the conceptual plan and sort of remember my photo, my visual aid, which I'll have tomorrow if you want to see it. I don't know what you're going to do on public comment tomorrow, but I guess
we won't be
don't
there
have to talk
tomorrow.
about it.
we won't be there tomorrow.
Okay,
Yep.
but what I was trying to show you when I had my visual aid and I had that white piece of cardboard there, if you look at the representation of the building, the main building that's in the parking lot, it's quite a bit larger than the buildings, building 1, 2, and 3 that are currently Harbor condos. And that image, by the way, both my image and the conceptual plan are on your website. You probably know that. There's actually public comments that were put that are available from David Wright. I don't know if any of you've seen them, but that photo is in there. And what I was trying to show you was, given the size of buildings 1, 2, and 3, they're all basically the same, and the representation of the conceptual plan, our buildings are actually much smaller than that building that the applicant is proposing in the marina. Not the other small building, not building B, but the one in the marina. And just to give you some context, our buildings about the same. They're 68-foot wide and 126-foot long. They're 12-foot buildings. So if you take that building and you put that into the building that they show on the conceptual plan, that illustration, that's likely a building that's about 100 feet deep and about 200 feet long. That's a big building. We don't know how many stories the applicant wants to go up. They haven't disclosed that, but it's a big building. You can actually cross-reference that too, because the sizes I'm estimating. There's no scale on that conceptual plan, but you sort of do have a scale actually, because you can cut out, if you wanted to, one of the buildings 1, 2, and 3 and put it in there. However, you can even be more specific, because the applicant submitted 2 setback illustrations, one 10-foot and one 20-foot. Again, they're on the review board's website. And you can take that increment of 20 foot and measure that out in their building, and you'll arrive about the same thing, about 100 by 200 foot wide. And if you take a visit, which I know some of you did in the middle of June, over to that site and to the marina, you'll notice that that building comes out quite a ways into the parking lot. And if it's more than 15 or so feet, it's going to start to block the view of the lake from building 3. Building 1 and building 2 aren't really impacted. It's building 3. So, you know, it's a catch-22. You have a big footprint. With the bigger footprint, you lose green space and you lose parking space. So if you go higher, you block view. Not really a happy medium there. It's just a very small space. It's not 3 acres. They don't want to build anything on the marina site. They only want to build on the 2 other town parcels. The village site they're leaving alone, and that's not 3 acres. So it's tough. I don't know if any of you noticed also that on your visit, someone asked, and I forget who, the applicant about how many parking spaces they currently have. And the applicant replied about 140. If you look at the conceptual plan, they actually have a number on each individual areas of parking. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's 109. So they've lost 31 parking spaces, you know, right off the top. So if they want to make a bigger footprint, well, you're going to lose more parking spaces. But if you want to make a smaller footprint, well, then you have to go up if they want to stay with 18 units, right? So it's really not a suitable site. It's really not an appropriate designation, you know, for that site. So I probably said more than I should have, but you asked me, Derek. So I took advantage of it.
That's the way this business works. Well, thanks, Peter.
Okay, all right.
Liz, what do you got?
I just had a question. I was just wondering if anybody knew what was going on with the pig site at this point.
Oh, I mean, we know that it's for sale.
That site,
The peaks.
The peaks.
Oh.
Yeah, there's no progression by Joe Burrill. It is listed.
You can look up the listing.
And
I can send it to you.
Okay.
I'm sure it's affordable, right?
Yeah, it's super affordable. You should look into buying it.
So what,
take a guess.
I guess.
Off the record. Yeah.
And he paid $5.5 million for it.
8 million. No? More?
17.5?
17.5.
So with the this is another conversation.
There's a whole other conversation.
Because he's got quite an investment in it, doesn't he? As far as.
He's put a few million into infrastructure.
Correct.
Whole property's graded. You wouldn't even know you're on the same piece of property. Yeah, but it's molded to fit his plan.
Right.
The way it's terraced and, yeah.
I found it, I'll send it to you.
Peter, was that your attorney, just going back? That was.
Yes, yes.
She actually sent us, as you probably know, the picture.
Yes.
And some other information.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually took a car.
I actually foiled the records from the planning department, the building department upstairs, and they had a file of 33 pages, and there was a map, and my photo was in there, and my letter. Yeah, that letter was from Claudia Bramer. She represents me. Yes.
That helped. I took the car and measured the car and then went up 45 feet.
So
right.
And proportionate, it works out?
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That's it, Liz?
Yeah, that's it for me. I'll probably give you a call tomorrow if you have time. To
Sure.
talk about the Rayfoot thing, but
That sounds good.
yeah.
Don't call anyone else about River Water except for Derek.
How about
I don't
you,
think
Dick?
anyone else shares the same passion.
Dick, you've been quiet tonight. We're not used to that.
You feeling okay?
Well, I'm giving Jason a chance to talk.
Yeah.
It's appreciated.
And that's for the record.
I was going to take a resolution that you could be remote all the time if this is happening.
Oh, yeah, thank you, appreciate that.
Anyway, thanks for joining, Dick.
Okay.
All right, we're not in need of any executive session, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jason, second?
Dick?
Dick, you want to get on the record here? Second?
There we
All
go.
right.
On the record, I second that motion.
No further discussion, I won't allow it. All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed, carried. Thank you very much, thanks for coming.
Thank you, great, okay, thanks for